Right, so here we
Right,
go.
there we are. So it's us three. So we've got a few
Down
people
to
joining
business.
us. We've got a few people joining us there as well. You see, we've got Benedict, Bluegrass Rail fan, who's it's actually one of our regulars from the streams, actually. So good to see you here. And Matthew as well, who's put a quick message in the chat there.
Well, I'm personally hoping that things finally turn over. Sorry, this is Matthew. I was trying to get my Bluetooth earbuds to work, but there was a delay in the echo, so I couldn't get the microphone to
It's
work
all
with
right.
them
We
very
can hear
well.
you loud and clear, Matthew.
Perfectly now, yeah, definitely.
I think we've got Bluegrass Rail fan trying to come in there as well. A little bit of crackling coming through, but here you are almost. Definitely something coming down the line there. Got a
Had
bit
the
of
dust off the laptop. That we've all had to do that at times.
don't you worry about that at all, Bluegrass. Oh, there we go. Hi, Matthew.
Hey, there we go. Hello.
Nice to meet you, Harriet. Wonderful
And
to meet you,
yourself.
Dave.
And
How are
hi,
you doing
Benedict.
today?
Thanks for joining us. Glad to have you all here, guys.
Yeah.
So who's been doing some modelling? Who's had some good projects on the go?
I've kind of just been screwing around with just a little bit of a display. Usually whenever I want to display any of my trains, either my OO scale stuff or my N scale stuff, I just set it up on top of my dresser, but then I got a piece of plywood cut out, kind of more a bit of a display piece. More than anything, I'm hoping to use it to just try and film some reviews. I know I've got the Princess Elizabeth, so I'm definitely looking forward to using that to get some video shot on that.
Lovely.
Brilliant. There we go, Benedict. We can see you now as well.
Wow, there you
we
go.
You can see a bit of a layout there. It's one of our Andrew Barclays, I think we can see there. You can click a button in the top right of the screen as well if you want to see everyone's views at once, guys. So we can all see each other at once, or if you just want to see the
I will say this is quite interesting for me as well, because obviously as part of the help desk, I only started at the end of January, so I don't know, I've not seen many other things other than the test trial, the test tracks around at Hattons. So seeing people's personal layouts is quite nice to actually to see your point of view as well as the people that are actually selling them. So yeah, no, that looked really good, Benedict, to be fair.
It was
We're a
always
lot
good to see the
larger than-
different layouts that everyone has.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's different as well.
Looks like the new Hornby Peckett there, actually, the one that's just come out, the Port of London one. So I've not actually seen one of those up close in the flesh. With working from home now, I don't get to see things as much as I should, unfortunately, but still, more time for modelling, eh?
And Matthew, did you say you had 00 and N gauge going, but both at the same time?
I actually can only put enough room for one. Right now I've got 00 gauge
Yeah.
set up at the moment. The N gauge stuff is mostly set aside. I don't have anything British in N gauge. The main reason is I'll use N gauge for North American and Japanese items so I can run a more realistic train. And then with 00 gauge, there are well, there's a company called Scaling for Etc. that do genuine 00 scale couplings. Most of my rolling stock is actually fit with them. I don't know if that's going to come across.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see that?
Oh, lovely.
I fit that to all of my 00 scale items. Obviously, for me, the most, I guess the most difficult ones to convert are the locomotives, because I don't know how easily the fake couplings will remove or how much modifying I have to do with the engines to get those installed.
Well, that's what Dave's there for. Dave will Dave will know these answers. So it's foreign languages to me most of the time, as you guys all know. So fitting those couplings, I can purchase them for you, but I don't know how they fit. I will admit.
I'm going to put Benedict's video in the spotlight so we can all see it there, because he's got the
that's quite a large layout.
new Ruston going round.
Oh wow!
The Hornby ones. So quite a nice model, those actually, and
that's
really,
brilliant.
really small as well. They're only about 2 inches or so long. So looks like a bit of an ongoing project there as well. Quite a bit going on. Some industrial bits and pieces.
And are they all the card kits? Such as Metcalf and so on and so forth.
There we go, Bluegrass. Can see you absolutely
there
fine.
There we go, lovely.
Yeah, thanks.
Great to have you. Good to put a face to a name rather than being on football.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on for so long, it's like, y'all probably don't know what I look like, and I never use a picture for Twitter, so.
I'll just take that out of the spotlight now. Thank you, Benedict. So, just see if I can fix that. Sorry, all this tech's pretty new to me.
It's all right.
Everyone's learning something here, including me.
There we go.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a fair bit to show there, isn't there? So
Yeah.
let's go back to that view.
Showing
Right.
off.
I've just picked up I've relented. It's the first Hattons order I've actually had sent out, because usually I pick them up in the shop for in years. So I've picked up one of these. It's the new Porsche Hunter. I've been talking about going
That
over
looks quite nice, yeah.
years and years and years, and I've finally just gone, no, I'm going to do it. So finally started and finally gone for it. So
I think the funny thing is, my dad is, when I was actually in Britain, I think almost a little over a year ago, we went to York. And before I went to Britain, Dad and I went to Monk Bar hobby shop, and the dealers were trying to sell me on O gauge. And my dad asked me if I was interested in going into that scale, and I told him I just didn't have the room. He didn't really believe me when I said the engines were pretty large, until one of the shop owners brought out, I think it was a Terrier in O gauge. And then now with Dapple releasing the 1400s, I'm a little bit tempted to go for just one of those, but I don't know yet.
yeah, you need a bit of space for O gauge. I mean, if you look at the size of that compared to my hand, for example, they are quite large, really. But I think, like you say, with a lot of the smaller locos coming through, you can get it into a slightly smaller space now as well. I mean, if I remember rightly, Bluegrass, you're an N-gauge modeler, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Actually got the layout kind of off to the side here.
Ah, right, yeah, I can just about see it there. Yeah, I'll tell you what, let's see if I can spotlight that.
Try to turn it here without
Oh,
having the table on me or anything else. But yeah.
Oh, right, okay, wow.
2x4. I can probably get it
Photographic.
running here. I got one train sitting on it. Let me see if I can plug in. Yeah, messing everything up.
Do you know what? It's really nice to see, actually, because obviously I sell these, and you guys, you give me the codes, and we'll put these through as orders. It's nice to actually see them all set up already, and what you're selling. That's really quite beautiful.
It's great to see stuff like this, because it's like,
Oh, brilliant.
it's like your kids growing up and never seeing them, you know, they just disappear.
Oh, wow.
That's really nice, actually, especially.
That is very good.
It's especially good for people who not necessarily got their own layouts at home.
Yeah.
Like Harriet and myself, we don't have layouts at home, and we tend to see most of the products while we're at work.
Yeah,
Something set up like this is really good.
It gives you a different aspect of what the hobby is. Obviously, you don't see it straight away. I definitely didn't see it when I first started here, and it's really quite entertaining. I've heard that the N gauge is a bit more difficult than 00. It's the smaller, obviously, isn't it? It's a bit more difficult to get hold of
It's got a lot more
things.
small contributing parts.
It kind of just depends on what you want for modeling. For me, I'm in the USA, so it's kind of hit and miss. Obviously, trying to get 00 scale. Hattons is my go-to website to order things. For N-gauge, like I told Harriet, I go mainly North American or Japanese.
Yeah.
And I'm also very picky on what I want. So for North American, I know I've got all of the Union Pacific steam engines, like the Big Boy, the Challenger, the 844. I've got all the passenger cars that Cato has made for them. And obviously, the more you put on the track, the longer the train becomes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do know I have a YouTube video releasing this Friday at 7 in the morning. So it's probably going to be about 1 o'clock in the afternoon for people in Europe or in Britain.
Right.
And that's just my kind of little tribute to the Challenger from Union Pacific, because in January, Union Pacific announced that they're retiring the Challenger since they have the Big Boy running. So they'll keep the 844 running, and then they're going to have the Big Boy. I guess being the successor.
6.4.
That's the 4664. Yeah. So I have
Sorry to
the
interrupt.
third generation from Athern. No, you're good. You're good. I have the third generation one from Athern, and I used that in the video. So
Right.
it
Okay.
was,
Well, I mean, send us through a link when it's live if you want. If you want to pop it through to our guys on the email side of things, and we'll definitely take a look. Or when we do one of these again on Friday, we can put it up and feature it. I'm sure we can do.
yeah, I can. I think I follow your page with both my personal Twitter and then my YouTube one. I know when it releases on Friday, I'll tweet out the link, and then I'll also mention Hattons. That way, you guys can take a look at it. It's one of the ways I get to actually kind of show off the whole thing, because most people don't really realize, like, when they think N scale, they're thinking they have to put a number of engines to pull like a 17-car train. To put it into context, I think the Challenger is probably about this long, maybe a little bit longer. I can't really get to the box because it's way out of shot. But I have the Challenger as my only powered engine in the video. You'll see it with the 2 auxiliary water tenders, a dummy diesel unit, a box car to be like the parts car that it always ran with, and then 17 of Cato's passenger cars, and Challenger pulls it like it's got nothing behind it.
That sounds great.
So
That does sound really good.
How do you
it's
feel?
one of my favorite.
Because you're a engaged modeler as well. Have you got a few long rates of wagons and that sort of thing on the go?
Yes, I do. Predominantly, it's more North American stuff. I know I've got, I think, almost 20 of our what we call hopper grain cars, so those covered cars. And the thing that I like about it is you don't need to have, like, say, 50 to 100 in engine to make it realistic. You can have up to 20 of those like grain cars, put them behind one engine, and you can probably just take one video and it looks like a realistically long train in that scale.
Good mix in that case, then.
I'm a little bit, I guess eclectic is the right word to put it, because if I'm going to go with freight trains, I'm predominantly going to stick with a company called BNSF. So they're going to be like the orange and black, or the orange, yellow, and green. That was a railroad that I kind of literally grew up with, because they started, I think their merger happened in 1999. And growing up as a kid, I would either see Burlington North, which was the green and white, or the Santa Fe, which was kind of like the war bonnet colors, the silver and red, or the blue and yellow.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing, isn't it? I think when you say eccentric a little bit, that's everyone in the hobby, really. You know, a lot of people
It is.
that they have, but then there's always little things that tempt you, isn't there? Really, some fun stuff as well.
You do see quite. I've spoken to quite a lot of customers, as you said, Matthew, that they will stick to a certain brand for a certain type of model that they're going for, and it will obviously continue through like that. So I think the questions that we want to be asking around here is through this time. Obviously, you've got time on your hands to be doing all of this. Have you progressed in a setup here, or are you still in the midst of planning something? Because I know Bluegrass, that your setup there looked beautiful. So you've obviously already had that done up. You've planned your time well. So, like, is everybody putting stuff together now, or are you just getting ideas together? What are you thinking?
Well, what I'm predominantly doing at the moment is, since I'm still living, thankfully, with my parents, I'm waiting for when I have my own house, because I'll work on track plans.
Yeah.
I know, for example, with N scale, I want to have at least a fairly large layout so I can run long trains.
Right.
And then a member of the club I'm a part of asked me, when I make my own personal layout, am I going to make it more focused just specifically like on Japanese scenery, or am I going to go with North American scenery?
Yeah.
So what I've kind of decided is I'll do a mixture of both. Where I live, there are several train tracks. I know about a mile and a half away, there's one main line for Union Pacific.
Oh, lovely.
So I decided
Okay.
to use that as inspiration, kind of do like a rural countryside,
Yeah.
and then just move into like plain grass, like a prairie, and then go to a mountain. use the mountain as the transition from, say, America to Japan, then go to like rural Japan, maybe a little bit of modern Japan, and then just kind of have that same transition.
It sounds like you could write a book at this rate, Matthew. you could start your own
that's
business.
Also my issue with double O scale, because I'm going to admit it, I jumped into double O scale. I'll call it late in the game, because going to York, I spent almost $1,000 in US, and that's if they didn't deduct the VAT. And I can thank the Railway Museum, because these 4 boxes right here are just from the NRM. I have the ubiquitous ugly duckling, which
the Q1.
I think the weird thing for me is with Britain, I just love freight locomotives. Like 060s for me are the one thing that I will look at and I will say, okay, I like this one. Then I picked up the Evening Star, which for me, I was really just kind of impressed. I didn't think I would like it. And then I saw Evening Star at the Railway Museum, and then I saw the model on display, and I said, okay, this is one I have to pick up just because I can't really pass it up and let it go.
You've made that connection then as well, haven't you, really? That's the main thing.
This is the only one that I didn't see at York, which was the City of Truro. They sold this in 2 variations. I got the one with the Indian red frames. And, I mean, I guess at this point I've just kind of represented all of the big 4. Lizzie was the one that I chose for the LMS, because I could have gone with the preserved black 5, but at the same time I was thinking I've got almost everyone that I know that models OO scale has a black 5, and they're always saying it's a good locomotive. I wanted to go with something that really just kind of showed off the LMS colors. And then, well, thanks to Hattons putting up that showcase video with the Princess Elizabeth.
Oh,
I
the new
one. Yes.
I like that one. I quite like that one.
I fell in love with it, and I said, if I'm going to buy it, I'll buy it. And I ended up buying it about 2 or 3 months ago from you guys.
Well, there you go, Matthew. I don't know if you've seen in the chat, but you have. You've just put a reply. I was going to say you've had a compliment from Tony there as well. So, cheers, Tony. Thanks for getting involved in the chat.
Well, going a bit off subject there, so Bluegrass, just to get you involved a little bit here with your layout there, because like Matthew said, he had quite a lot of inspiration as to what he had behind it. Did you have an inspiration for that track, or did you just lay it out as you see it?
I kind of used a track plan. I saw it was like a Payco track plan, but of course I'm using Kato unit track, so it's a little different. Track sizes are different. I kind of modded it a little bit to fit the table a little better. Kind of
that's the point with these space, isn't it? Yeah.
It's decent size, but I've got a built-out building with the rest of my N-scale stuff out behind my house. So I'm planning on building something else eventually, but I just got to figure out what I want to do. I've got a ton of American rolling stock locomotives, passenger cars.
Yeah.
Any ideas yet of what you want to do? Any ideas yet of what you want to do? Anything brewing?
So I'm not sure. I've got interest in like different things. So it's like I could build one huge layout, or I might build like several smaller layouts, so I can do each of what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got like modern CSX stuff that you see around here. I've got Western stuff like UP, BNSF. I've got like some older stuff like Monon and nickel plate. So it's like I've got a little bit of everything out there. Pretty much anything Kato puts out nowadays, I pick up as soon as I can. So it's got a lot of good Kato stuff, like the passenger trains, the Metra. It's like the 400s that the CMW had recently. So it's like a little bit of everything.
It's the best
I've got out there.
Really, you can have a theme, but you've, like I said before, you've got to have a bit of everything. There's one I spotted actually that you two might be interested in. I think that the start of the 1950s, a company over here in Wales bought 5 Alco switchers to use in the steelworks. When over here we had no diesels at all, we were just streets behind you guys in that way, really. And there's one of them still preserved over here as well. They've kept it in a museum, and I was thinking of buying in O-gauge again the big MTH Alco S2 switcher and doing it up as the UK one, because even in O-gauge, it towers over so much of the UK stuff, really, and just that sort of late 40s, early 50s design. But that's one of the things I like, where you've got something unusual that makes people really turn their head, you know. Just a little unusual, really. You've got to have the fun stuff like that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's actually funny that you bring that up, Dave, because a friend of mine who lives in a state called Virginia, he has a British locomotive called Sandwich. I don't remember the class of it, but I know that he swears for him it's his personal favorite locomotive. And he and I have been talking about doing like a little competitive video, because he absolutely swears that Sandwich is his all-time favorite best locomotive. And mine is, I don't know if you guys have heard of a company called Broadway Limited, but they are a US-based company, I think, out of Florida, and they released the Big Boy. So I spent almost $550 ordering one. And I know that sounds kind of expensive, but Broadway's retail price for the engine is $750.
Well,
And the main reason for that is it has DCC and Broadway Limited's own sound system installed. It also has, obviously, lights. It's even got a smoking generator, so the steam will come out of the two funnels with every wheel rotation, so 4 for every 1 full rotation. And it's even got a smoking whistle. And
well, for that price, then it sounds like a good deal from what I know. You guys have got the most expensive. I've said this to so many people. It's the most expensive hobby I have ever seen. And I mean, not that I know of many, but gosh, some of them are eye-watering. And you guys do it as if it's nothing. You're just so happy to get these models. So it's always nice to see that they make you so happy. And like you said, looking at these steam, I've never personally seen an actual steam locomotive go round a track. So I think they'd be fascinating.
I will admit, I think you can kind of see the box for the Big Boy right here where my hand is touching.
Yeah.
It is massive.
Yeah. It looks it.
One thing I was warned when I was online looking at people who owned locomotives from Broadway Limited, they said they come out of the box screaming. I really didn't believe them, but let me see if I can angle this down a little bit. You can kind of see the little plywood here.
Yeah.
This track I had hooked up to ECC, and I put the Big Boy there. My finger accidentally slipped. So right here where my hand is was the Big Boy's tender. My ear was right here, and my finger slipped and hit the whistle.
Oh
My ear
goodness.
was numb for at least 2 or 3 hours, and I was like, okay. They weren't joking when they said it came out screaming, but the level of detail that Broadway has on that engine has blown me away, because
Wow.
I will say when it was, you do have a question, Harriet. Sorry about that, Dave.
Harriet, question for the floor.
Go on, say that again. Sorry.
It's in the chat for you there.
Oh, I see. I've never seen a real life steam. I've never seen a real life one. I've never seen a model one. I will be perfectly honest and say I'm not a massive, I know this is going to sound awful and hateful, but I'm not a massive train fan and going on trains myself.
Not yet.
So I've never, not yet, that's true.
Yeah.
So I've never really been to a railway to be able to look at them and actually see them for what they are. But I suppose working here and obviously hearing what you guys have got to say, exactly. No,
Yeah.
what you guys explained to me, and some people will take the time to actually explain a lot of things to me in different ways, which helps me understand a lot more of it. It gives you a completely different appreciation for it, because for me, I just see it as a place where people are cramped on a train. I don't see them for the crafts that they actually are. And some of the models, like you said, like the Big Boy, I've not seen that one personally, but I know, like, is it the Mallard? I know I'm going to sound really awful now. Is it the A4 Mallard, the blue one?
Yes.
I remember selling that to somebody, and that was absolutely stunning. And I thought the detail on that was beautiful. So maybe I need to start stopping around some railways and paying attention to some of them. But they are. I'll have to get onto it now, won't I?
Well, we had a live steam Mallard come through our pre-owned not that long ago, so there you could have got a real steam engine and a model all in one.
I missed it. I missed it. But yeah, no, that. It does sound really, really good. I'd love to see a model steam engine. I know I've had a lot of customers ask me about them. And Dave, correct me if I'm wrong. We don't sell many steam.
Pretty rare to come by in the UK, actually.
Yeah.
You guys in the States have got a lot more luck than us on getting that sort of thing. We had a couple about, 20 years ago, I think it was, Hornby did them. But otherwise, it's been down to you guys, really, to have them. So the luck's with you, you know.
I've just seen that
Yeah.
Tony said that we're going to have a Hattons day out. You'll have to go and show us all around. I think that would be really nice, to be fair. As much as I don't know how much it'd interest me at the start, but hearing all of this it does you grow in interest quite a lot, and I think the models are actually, I know it sounds awful, the models are more interesting than the trains themselves because of the amount of detail to compact them down. Some of them are absolutely incredible, and I've never seen anything like it. The amount of detail, especially N-gauge as well. I was shown a small N-gauge locomotive by our manager a while ago, and the amount of detail they managed to fit in is just unbelievable. I've never seen anything like them. So it's very nice. I'd like a day out, Tony. As long as you're paying, well, I'm happy to go out. That's fine.
So I'm actually not going to disagree with you on that, Harriet, because the N-scale locomotives that I have that are going to be the most detailed are going to be the Challenger, which I unfortunately will never get to see in real life, and the Big Boy.
Yeah.
And for me, insult to injury was the Big Boy was actually in Texas for about a week, and I went to see the eye doctor on my birthday. One, it was extremely cold and extremely windy, so I wasn't very much enjoying it. And two, when I found out about the Big Boy being in Texas, the only way I would have been able to see would have been to drive about 2 hours south, east, or even north to go and see it, because they were doing their homeward run. So they'd come from the west. They'd done an excursion in California. Then they went along the western states, and then they were just coming through Texas to do the big loop. And I'm kind of glad that they avoided. I'm glad they avoided the area where I live in, because it's kind of suburbia. I live in what we call the Metroplex, so that's kind of short for Dallas and Fort Worth area. And both of those cities can get pretty packed. I have seen video from, I believe, the early 90s when the Challenger came to Fort Worth. And one of the major highways just backed up because everyone's obviously got their cameras and they're trying to drive, or they have someone else recording while they're driving, and they're trying to keep an eye on the engine. So I know for sure that N-gauge definitely has a lot of detail. For me, this is where I'm going to be sacrilegious. Before I even got into 00 scale, I never really cared for the name Hornby until I got this gift from my dad on our last day in Britain. He was able to grab me one of the NRM versions of Flying Scotsman.
Oh, lovely.
And then when I got home and I opened the engine to look at it, the only difference between the model and when I saw Scotsman in York was just the livery. Because when I saw Scotsman in York, it was in the BR colors. And then this one's obviously in the iconic LNER apple green.
Yeah.
So definitely can say that just the level of detail for some of these engines, most of, if not all of them for me, are British. I didn't get to see City of Truro. I have Lizzie here, who I can only see through YouTube videos. So hopefully next time I get to hop across the pond back to Britain, I can try to reach out to the Princess Royal Trust to see if I can't manage to sneak a peek at Lizzie, whereas I got extremely lucky with Scotsman.
Yeah, I think it's still going on the main line over Elizabeth, so I think you'll be able to see it out and about somewhere. I was going to say,
novice over here. Which one's that? The Lizzie. When you say, is that Princess? Is it the Princess
That's going
Royal?
to be the Princess Royal. Yes.
Princess Royal. I've had a couple of those. Is it the LMS Crimson Lake? I had someone buy that one this one morning for me. That's actually, I quite like the model of that. Again, I'm a complete novice, but I had one of those this morning, and that one is beautiful. It is very, very nice.
Right, I think we're up to time now, I'm afraid, guys. As much as, I could carry on for hours.
We could do this all day,
I have to go and get some work done now,
Unfortunately so, yeah.
But thanks for joining us. And as we said at the start, we'll be running these sessions pretty regularly, just for what we've done here, just because it's all a bit of a weird world at the moment. So let's just sit down and talk model railways, really.
Nice to stay connected with everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm
absolutely.
learning from you guys. I learn from Dave every day in the office, and now that I don't have Dave within 5 feet of me, it's always nice to hear other people's opinions. So
Dave
yeah,
knows so
I've
much. I wouldn't want to challenge him with trivia.
I try.
you
I
need
do a
to
lot of
start
quiz.
writing books, like I said, Matthew. You need to start writing them all out for us and getting them over to us. So yeah,
Well, I'll see what I can do.
Brilliant.
we'll
And
look
of
forward
course,
to it.
not forgetting Tony there in the chat, who's not been on the camera, but he has been joining us. So nice to see you there as well, Tony. And thanks, Bluegrass. Thanks, Matthew. And thanks, Josh and Harriet from our side as well. And yeah, keep an eye on the usual channels. We'll be doing more of these. And you've made it what we want it to be, just having a good old chat about model trains. So
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank
We'll see
you.
you soon.
Right,
Been a
see you
pleasure.
soon.
Take care.
Take care. Look after
Always
yourself.
a pleasure.
Bye
I
now.
will.
See y'all
Bye.
later.
Bye.